Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, konnichiwa, ciao, bonjour, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? It's Ken at 10. Welcome. Well, the stadium's behind me. Have you been following it? God, Christian Eriksen, what a shocker. Unbelievable. Lovely to see Lukaku score his goal and then dedicate it to him as a teammate. I thought that was lovely, and wish him a speedy recovery. All the best to his family. But England, what about that? A result, 1-0. Yes, love it. Let's get back to the property news now. For those of you who've never been here before, well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. It's Ken at 10. We broadcast daily from our offices in southwest London, an area called Norbury, which is situated between Streatham to the north and Croydon to the south. We sell and let properties and talk all day, every day about the property market, what's going on nationally, locally, and anything else that comes to mind, really. So how are you? Hope you're having a good day. We certainly are. The weather here is absolutely tremendous. And always a lovely time to see and view properties around this time of year. You know, the sun's out, the light's streaming in the windows, the gardens look beautiful, the flowers are out, you know, just makes such a difference. A few things for you in the news today. First thing is analysis by the Bank of England data by Savills headlines shows that borrowers spent 31.6 billion on mortgage interest in the year to April. That's the lowest annualized monthly figure in 2 decades, with average rates hitting 2.07%. Meanwhile, separate analysis by the BOE figures reveal that average mortgage rates for borrowers with deposits of at least 40% dropped to the lowest on record. I mean, these are unbelievable. And again, this is not mortgage advice. As always, never mortgage advice, but the actual rates are quite incredible. With deposits of 40%, average 2-year fixes are 60%, are 1.2%. When the Bank of England started tracking the data in 2012, the figure was 2.76%. Incredible, isn't it? And we're under huge pressure at the moment, obviously, with the deadline. You know, we've now got 17 days left. We have a number of sales which haven't yet exchanged, which should go, and some which aren't going to make it. And it's really frustrating, quite heartbreaking to see that happen for people, because the amounts involved are so large. You know, it's a lot of money. And there's an article here by Zoopla, and it's warned that more than 50,000 people are at risk of losing that incentive and not making it. That's a lot of people, isn't it, throughout the UK? I've said for a while now, we do expect to see a bit of a bounce of properties coming onto the market where people decide to start again and not proceed with that purchase or sale. And so it'd be interesting to see what happens. We're all really intrigued by that, because it is a unique situation, isn't it? Something that's never happened before in property. And I'm always, you know, we look backwards, don't we? And we say, well, do you remember when we had that deadline? What happened next? And it's one of those times, what's going to happen next, ... Nobody can tell you. I mean, the overall confidence has been amazing, though, in terms of what's going to happen next. What we got here is Mark Hayward, the Chief Policy Advisor at NAEA Property Mark. They're the regulatory body for estate agents, surveyors and the like. He said the continued imbalance of supply and demand is a concern and has led to a strong seller's market. Meanwhile, separate data from Chesterton shows London's property market witnessed a 19.4% decrease in the number of sellers willing to drop their price. As the nation is slowly coming out of lockdown, buyer confidence is growing as a result of sustained high demand from house hunters. Buyers now find themselves in a seller's market, says Corey Eskew, head of sales at Chesterton's. Demand may keep prices up when stamp duty holiday ends. This is an article in the Mirror over the weekend, and they look at what it might look like for house prices after the stamp duty deadline. And they say the tax break designed to support the housing market has seen a surge in deals and rising prices. Reflecting on what may happen, they say once the threshold is reduced to 250 on July the 1st and 125 on October the 1st, sales expectations on a 12-month horizon are flat, but expectations of further house price inflation appear to have intensified. Halifax Managing Director Russell Galley said property prices will keep rising if demand stays high. I just love that. You know, my glass will fill up if I put it under a tap. I mean, come on, say something, man. Don't be afraid to have an opinion. Rental now. The majority of no-fault eviction notices could be revoked because landlords have neglected to provide the necessary documentation at the beginning of the tenancy. There are now such a large amount of documents that need to be provided at the beginning of a tenancy. You really do need to be careful. This is a survey by Generation Rent, and it does make me laugh how they've put it. They say that less than a quarter of private renters remembered having received a how to rent guide at the start of their tenancy, and only 36% remembered their landlord providing an EPC or energy performance certificate. Well, I think what you remember and what's actually happened are two different things. So it may well be that the landlords have protected themselves and have got those receipts for those documents. It's certainly what we ask for. Another article now in the Telegraph: prime London buyers moving to the fringes. This is something we've experienced for a while now, is that fewer than 60 properties in central London changed hands each week in 2020. That's the lowest monthly total on record, according to London Central Portfolio. By the end of May, the highest annual increase in sales was for properties on the fringes of prime central London. More central areas, particularly those with a high proportion of flats, have struggled, said Marcus Dixon of Lonres. There's been a shift in thinking. Now many prefer having their own front door. This has marked the reversal of a 10-year trend in central London, during which the traditional tall terraced house fell out of favour and the appetite for stair-free lateral living soared. Article in the Mirror talking about dangerous cladding. It's something that we've talked about for a long time now. And this is a Labour Party survey. They say that it might take until 2043 for some dangerous cladding to be removed. The party found that 230,000 people are currently living in homes with dangerous cladding, almost 24,000 in the same type of cladding as used on Grenfell. Shadow Housing Secretary Lucy Powell said the government's woeful lack of leadership is condemning hundreds of thousands of people to living in a nightmare. The Mirror notes that the analysis excludes properties under 18 metres in height, and that as many as 1 million homes may be unsellable due to fire safety defects. Interesting one in the Sunday Times as well. This is about tax perks for married people. Ali Hussein looks in the Sunday Times, looks at the implications that can come with getting married. And this is something that you might want to consider if you are getting married and you have a buy-to-let property. He highlights how Blick Rothenberg, a chief executive, Nimesh Shah, delayed getting married until after he and his partner bought their family home, noting that if they'd been married when they bought the house, they would have also had to pay a property stamp duty surcharge of 3% because his partner Danielle also owned a flat. Mr. Hussein adds that staying unmarried can be lucrative for those planning to build a property portfolio due to the savings that can be made on the stamp duty. That's interesting, isn't it? Because once you're married, then that asset's deemed as yours. Really interesting, that, and will make people that have a buy-to-let perhaps do something with that prior. Very interesting indeed. So apart from that, we're looking forward to a reasonably busy week this week. Obviously, we've got the World Cup, and that's been great to watch so far, and we're looking forward to England progressing majestically through that. We'll be back tomorrow with another Ken at 10. That stamp duty deadline is looming large, and there's lots of pressure on. So we're back on the phones to try and encourage buyers, solicitors, and sellers to get everything we need done in time so we can get them across that line. Until then, have a fantastic day. Look after your family and friends.